What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be talking about what Nintendo's big game could be for 2026. There's probably going to be at least two that we don't know of yet. And you might think it's a little similar to my last video where I went over my predictions, but my predictions is fun, interesting ideas that could happen. In this video we're going to be talking about things that actually have a high chance of happening, and big games only, so let's dive into it. First big game of Nintendo's that could come out this year is Luigi's Mansion 4. And Luigi's Mansion 3 came out all the way back in October of 2019. So it's definitely time for a new one. And most people don't realize this, but Luigi's Mansion definitely counts as a big franchise for Nintendo. It sold 14 million copies, or over that. So Luigi's Mansion is definitely considered a big game now. And it's been a really long time since the last one, so it's pretty likely that we might get one this year. If we do, I will probably be in October, but yeah, I would say there's probably about an 80% chance we get this game this year. The next possible game is Super Mario Maker 3D. Well, first off, it being called Super Mario Maker 3D is a great idea. It'd be the third game in the series, and they are almost guaranteed to add a 3D Maker mode. So that would be a fun pun. I'm sorry. I know it's a little bit random to mention, but I had to. And Super Mario Maker 2 came out June in 2019, and it sold 8.42 million copies. So this is another thing where people don't realize it, but the Mario Maker games definitely count as a big franchise. And I mean, it's been so long since the last Mario Maker game. The only thing is, I don't think it's that likely. It definitely would be a big game, and we could do another Luigi's Mansion and Mario Maker combo, like in 2019, but I just don't think Mario Maker 3D is that likely for this year. Now, I do think it's likely in the Switch 2's lifespan, and I think it's even more likely to be either 2027 or 2028 game. So I just don't think it's that likely for this year, but it would definitely be a big game. And I would give it about a 25% chance that we see Mario Maker 3D this year, so definitely on the lower side. And before I mention the next game, I want to have an honorable mention to Pokemon. Pokemon Generation 10 is basically guaranteed at the end of this year. I've already made several videos about it, and Pokemon's just not the direction I want this video to go, so we're not going to be mentioning any Pokemon games in this video, but there is a high chance, a very high chance, that Gen 10 comes out this year. If you want to hear me talk about that, I have other videos on my channel you're welcome to check out. Okay, moving on to the next game, and that is the Zelda Ocarina of Time remake, which is, I know, is very exciting for a lot of people. I have never played the OG Ocarina of Time, but I've heard it's a fantastic game, and when it came out, it was regarded as one of the best video games ever, so it would definitely be a big deal to get Ocarina of Time. If you combine the sales of both versions, it's up to 13.8 million copies sold, or at least, so I mean, this game would be massive for a lot of people, very interesting, and we've had some leaks come out saying this is possible, especially for Zelda's anniversary. And we saw Nintendo updating some patents for some Ocarina of Time mechanics, and with all that, this is a very likely game to come. It's so likely, in fact, that I'd probably give it a 90% chance of being released in 2026. Next big game I'm going to mention is the next Super Smash Bros. And overall, I don't think this one's that likely, but that's mainly because of Kirby Air Riders recently coming out, and Sakurai's attention went heavily towards that for a really long time. But, unlike Mario Maker 3D, we know this game still has been heavily in development. Sakurai has been still balancing Kirby Air Riders and the next Smash Bros. But since Kirby Air Riders just came out, I do think it's going to be a little while. And I bet it will be 2027 or 2028, but I really am feeling 2027 for this one. I really do think the next Smash Bros. Will come out in 2027. So, I don't really have much confidence of it coming out this year, but next year I bet. So the chance it comes out this year is probably like a 30% chance. It's definitely better than 3D Mario Maker, because we know it's been heavily in development, but that's about the only thing we have going for it, so I bet this one will be a 2027 release. But while we're on the topic of the next Smash Bros., I think it's going to be a little bit of a different direction from Smash Ultimate. Smash Ultimate's focus was so many characters. Character after character after character. And that's fine, but because there were so many characters, the game had one major flaw, and that's the characters' attacks were not unique or special. It didn't feel like the characters. It feels like every character had a, punch, a long-ranged attack, and a special jump or something. And that's why I think the next game won't have near as many characters, but it will really focus on the characters' movesets and making all the characters feel unique. And I think that's a great thing for Smash Bros. Because when you play with a friend, or when you play at all, you usually pick the character, and you want that character to have personality. Depending on what character you picked, it depends on you as a person's personality. And that's why you want it to show a little bit more in the moveset of the character. So I do think Smash Bros. Franchise would generally be benefited by having more unique character movesets. Another thing I want to mention about Smash Bros. Is the story, and how is it going to be different, or what's it going to be like in the next Smash Bros. And to be honest, I did not like World of Light at all. I don't have the online thing, so I never played online Smash Bros. So, the main single-player option for me is the story mode, and I hated the story mode. So, that's kind of negative for me, personally, but I bet there's other people like that. And I think the game really needs to focus on the single-player story mode, because, in my mind, a lot of the Smash Bros. Games focus a little bit too much on online playing, and you needing, friends and stuff. And the story mode kind of helps those single-player goers. So I do think it needs to be a good story mode. And I do have hope for it being a good story mode. Of course, it's Sakurai, and Sakurai always likes to go above beyond, but in Kirby Air Riders, the game Sakurai just worked on, the story mode in that, at least I hear, is really good. So, hopefully, that transfers over to the next Smash Bros. The next giant game we're going to talk about is a 3D Mario. Man, we need one, and I don't know if it's going to come out this year. The only reason I say that is because we haven't heard anything about it, and I feel like Nintendo should have at least announced it by now if it was coming out this year. But there is still the possibility of them announcing it in the next Direct. And if it doesn't get announced in the next Direct, I don't think it's coming out this year. So, I'm just saying I wouldn't get your hopes up. Overall, I'd give the next 3D Mario game, about 50% chance this year. Right down the middle, I bet you, basically 100% chance that it will be this year or next year. And because of that, I feel like 50% fits it really well. But what could the next 3D Mario look like? And a lot of people, and I wouldn't mind this, is to say they should do the Bowser's Fury route. And that sounds like a good idea, but Bowser's Fury wasn't fully fleshed out. So think about a Bowser's Fury style world and mechanics with the passion and fully fledged outness of Super Mario Odyssey. And that seems like what a wonderful combo. That seems like a great combo, and makes me really excited for the next 3D Mario. Of course, I've been excited for the next 3D Mario since I played Odyssey, like most people have, but this 2026 makes 9 years since the Odyssey. That's been ridiculous. And a lot of people say Donkey Kong Bonanza and Bowser's Fury were supposed to hold us over until then, and those are the replacements, and there won't be a 3D Mario for a really long time, and that's stupid. Bowser's Fury was a side mode. It was not fully fleshed out. In Donkey Kong Bonanza, it's Donkey Kong. The game is centered around breaking everything, not platforming, which at Mario's core, it is a platforming game that's meant to be unique and interesting. So, overall, I think there's a 50% chance we get a 3D Mario this year. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and it looks like 2026 might be very exciting. Hope you have a wonderful day. Peace out, everyone.